From kickboxing to MMA, Alex Pereira has defeated Israel Adesanya on every stage. But can Izzy ever avenge his losses? Today, I'm going to talk about that. But first, let's look at what's next for the two. Pereira and Adesanya are set to face each other once again at UFC 287 in April. Alex is ready to give Adesanya another chance to try and beat him. He has failed 3 times already, though. This will be their second fight inside the octagon. Pereira brutally beat Izzy in the first fight at UFC 282.
At 2 minutes, 1 second of the 5th round, declaring the winner by TKO and new UFC Undisputed.
And if you ask me, the rivalry was settled with that fight. The debate was over, but Adesanya wanted more. He still thinks that he can defeat him. I mean, Pereira made a move to MMA and defeated Adesanya at his own game. Things don't get any more brutal than this. Yes, Adesanya is excited and fired up for the fight, but Pereira thinks he shouldn't be too excited about it, because he thinks all his efforts will go to waste, because he doesn't think that Adesanya will ever be able to beat him. Alex told a little story about his kickboxing career to make people understand why Adesanya will never beat him. Pereira said he fought a total of 28 fights in his kickboxing career. He won 25 of these fights via knockouts. But the problem is that he lost 3 fights. An even bigger problem is that all those losses were against the same guy. He also thinks that if he fights that guy again today, Pereira will lose again. What? I don't think so, but if Pereira thinks so, then maybe he's right. The reason why Pereira thinks that dude will defeat him again is that he'll always be better than Pereira stylistically. That's why he'll always have an edge over Pereira. And this is what's going on between him and Adesanya. But Izzy just doesn't accept it, said Pereira. I mean, you're asking a professional MMA fighter to accept defeat? I don't think he'll ever do that. But on the other hand, Pereira's oozing with confidence because he's the only fighter who has knocked out Adesanya in his professional career. This is a huge psychological advantage to have over someone, and let me tell you one more thing about Alex. He's super smart. Like, do you know what he did in their first UFC fight? He damaged Adesanya's footwork and limited him to just punches, and this is something Adesanya himself has also admitted. Izzy was very careful the whole fight. He tried his best to stop Pereira from landing his iconic touch of death left hook, but in the end, he was defeated by that very move. What's even worse is that Adesanya was ahead on the judges' scorecards, but this is where Pereira's smartness, durability, and determination come in. He kept on hitting Adesanya's perennial nerve with his leg kicks, and if you're someone who doesn't know what the perennial nerve is, it's a nerve in your leg that helps you move. That's all you need to know. Pereira damaged that area, and it compromised Adesanya's ability to move swiftly. That's the reason why his footwork wasn't as good as we're used to seeing. Izzy himself even admitted in the post-fight interview that those leg kicks really damaged him a lot. And finally, when the foundations were laid by Pereira, he saw an opening and landed that left hook to perfection. This is how smart Pereira is. He always knows what he's doing and what his next move should be. But Adesanya's camp thinks that this isn't over. Not yet, especially his coach. That guy is confident once again. Well, he was confident the last time as well, and we all know how that turned out. But this time, Adesanya will beat Pereira. How? Well, according to Adesanya's coach, they just have to change tactics. Eugene Behrman is very confident that with just a few tweaks in the tactics, they can change the result of the fight. Now, that's very optimistic, but what will be so different from last time? I mean, they fought each other 3 times already, and if that wasn't enough to figure out what they need to do to win, I don't think a couple more months will be enough. There are only 2 months left for them to prepare for the fight night, and 2 months aren't enough to train for a fight this huge. In the 2 months, they'll have to change their approach, and then Adesanya will have to train according to that approach. These things take a lot more time than 2 months. But Coach Behrman is was very confident. He even said that we can make those changes in the given time frame. Well, if they can, then we're in for some stunning action. The last fight between the two was very close as well. Adesanya almost won that fight, but then a sweet left hook shocked him. Behrman also had some words of praise for Pereira. He said Pereira is the kind of fighter who loves to play with the mind of his opponent. That's what his game plan always is. Behrman said Pereira isn't afraid of giving away a few rounds because he looks at the bigger picture. He's always setting up his fights to land one big shot.
Good because he's... Oh!
That's what I'm talking about. That's it.
That's why.
That's what I'm talking about.
Done it again. That's why.
You cannot stand in front of that man.
And the coach is completely right about this. No wonder why Pereira has been so successful with knockouts throughout his career.
On his left cheek.
And John, honestly, that's what I was speaking to with all the clinch and the grab. Oh! My goodness.
That's what I'm talking about.
How good is that? Wow.
That's what I'm telling you.
This is the one thing that he loves to do. But if Adesanya wants to come out of that fight as a winner, there are a few things that he must do in order to achieve that. It won't be easy against a guy like Pereira, but still has to try. And if you ask me, he should quickly take the fight to the ground. See, Adesanya absolutely dominated that fight in the third round. What did he do in that round? He took Pereira down onto the ground. This is where Adesanya's strength lies.
I would expect the championship experience of Adesanya to start to take form and show itself.
Yeah, look at the big, deep breaths from the challenger. Oh, that was a good elbow from the bottom.
And we saw that last time. Like, he had Pereira under control. He limited his opponent's movement by being on top of him and landed some great blows. And when the round ended, we all saw how tired Pereira was. Adesanya needs to cash in on this. This is one of his strengths and he needs to make the most out of it. But in the first fight, he was a little too late in doing so. If he comes straight at him from the first round and keeps him on the ground, we could see a completely different result in the second fight. And apart from doing this, he just needs to do one more thing: avoid as many clean hits from Pereira as possible. It's as simple as that. At no point in that fight should Adesanya give enough room to Pereira for a clean hit. This is the biggest key to success against Pereira. We all know Pereira's always looking for that teeny tiny room to land his favorite punch, and Adesanya just needs to avoid that. There's nothing wrong with being defensive against a guy like Pereira. You need to protect yourself at all costs. But Pereira has this killer instinct, and the power he possesses in his hands, boy oh boy. Arguably, he's the most powerful dude in the middleweight division right now. Just remember that he's the only guy who has knocked Adesanya out, and he's done it twice. Adesanya did a pretty great job of avoiding Pereira's punches in most parts of the first fight. He just needs to work more on this, and he'll be through. That's all for why Adesanya will never beat Pereira and what he should do to beat him. See ya.